We did a couple of shots of you walking around. What are your thoughts when you see Belfast today? Like you did.
I love coming to Belfast and walking around because you look at people walking the streets, living a normal life, walking their babies, their dogs, just chatting on the phone, listening to music, living a normal life. And I think to myself, which 200 or 300 a year of you wouldn't be here because of the violence? And they don't know who they are, but you know that they would have not had the same life. Tens of thousands would have been wounded in the violence, and it's just normal. I love coming here and just seeing everything's just normal. Not perfect, but there's 160 that have died since the Good Friday agreement. Yeah, it's not perfect. Stormont's not up and running. 160 people have been killed since the Good Friday agreement. People don't know that. They don't have justice, peace, reconciliation. They have peace, but not justice and reconciliation. They don't have the Bill of Rights. So there's things that still need to move on, but the peace is holding largely. People are committed to the Good Friday Agreement. I'm here in Belfast for this 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement, and it's just been a collection of incredible people from George Mitchell, who made it, who's been quite ill, and he was just a saint walking among us. Gave a really powerful speech. To see Hillary Clinton interviewing Bill Clinton, Tony Blair, Bertie Ahern, I mean, just the magic's happening. And I think it's one of the few peace agreements that's held in the last 25 years. And if you ask what are the secrets of it, we're all talking about why did it work? And I talked to 4 elements. One is the time was right. The generation of fighters and those involved in the violence were looking at their kids being the same age as they were when it started and think, I don't want that for my child. So I remember asking them, were President Clinton in office in the 80s, could he have done this? And no, we weren't ready. So they were ready. The involvement of the women saw the possibilities of peace. I'll never forget coming to Belfast in '95, and you could just see the faces of the women out there demanding peace, seeing the better possibilities of peace and the possibilities of peace. And then it was a really bottom-up process where individuals from all walks of life, grassroots, women, youth, they all had a say. And they didn't always get what they wanted. All the parties. I mean, Mitchell was a saint for sitting through hours of these conversations and history lessons, but everyone felt that their views were respected. And they accepted that not 100% of what they wanted would be in the agreement, but that they at least had been heard and respected. And that key element of respect and inclusion made a difference. And then, of course, the fourth is the involvement of President Clinton. The parties so distrusted each other that Adams would always come to us and say, could you guarantee me the British are going to do this? Or the British would come, can you guarantee me the ceasefire is going to come on this date or this is going to happen? I'm like, no, but here's what they've committed to us. I don't think they're lying to us. And that began a process of the U.S. being the honest broker and getting the sides to talk to each other in the form of George Mitchell, but also President Clinton's engagement. I'll never forget, I was at the waiting for President Clinton to come to a meeting with Downing Street, and Prime Minister John Major was asked if the President's visit had something to do with them announcing the twin-track peace process, one on decommissioning, one on a peace process. And in his wry voice, he said, well, it has a way of focusing the mind. And I think this is, I'm here in Belfast. We've had President Biden here last week, President Clinton, Secretary Clinton. I think the British Prime Minister is coming tomorrow on Wednesday. So there's a lot of focus, which can put too much pressure, where that no one wants to act or appear to be acting because of U.S. pressure. But as Major said, it does focus the mind. So there's been a lot of talk about how to get Stormont up and running. What do they want? The need to, you can update the Good Friday Agreement, perhaps look at the formulas of the Northern Irish Assembly, things like that. But the tenets worked, and they're not going to be renegotiated. So the sooner you get Stormont up and running, the better.
What is the next 25 years? Is it, since peace walls are still up, is it time for a new generation of leadership?
That was actually interesting, a discussion that came up among the party leaders just on stage this morning at the conference. two very different views. One is we're locked into being British, and Northern Ireland is still very much part of Britain. The other is a United Ireland, which the British citizenship is still maintained in the north, and the traditions of the nationalist community are respected, and the traditions of the Protestant communities are accepted. I don't know which way it's going to go, and it shouldn't matter. That's up to the people to decide. But I think that within 25 years, that probably that decision will be taken. But the more important thing isn't whether it's a United Ireland or the 6 provinces are still part of the UK. What matters is both sides are participating in a democratic society and delivering the basic needs for the people so they can live the miracle of a normal life. I think that will happen.
Can you speak about the people who are not at the negotiation table, like, and how you represent their needs sometimes, while those that don't have a voice at the table but are the ones that deal with the issues on a day-to-day
Well, everybody
basis?
has a voice at the table. I mean, the Good Friday Agreement worked because it was so inclusive. Right now, the DUP is not in government, not participating. We expected more senior leadership to be here at this conference. They need to get Stormont up and running and going. I think they're going to wait till the May elections, and then whether they come in or not, I think will be a decision that London's going to have to really take seriously and push for it. Can't force anyone to do something, but you can convince them that it's in their interest to do it. So I'm hopeful that by the fall, the talk among the corridors at this conference is that they'll have the local elections here, then you'll have the marching season, and hopefully by the fall, the institutions will be up and running again. It's time. That's a clear message from all sides, almost all sides, that we need to get it up and running.
Can you speak a little bit about the monkey wrench that Brexit was, in terms of how it came about and its impact here?
Well, it came about as a way to pump up David Cameron's standing in the polls, which didn't work. No one expected it to pass. I thought they were going to do a do-over because nobody had really understood what was involved here. But moving forward on Brexit, I don't think the British government gave any thought to the Good Friday Agreement at all. And clearly that was a mistake. Certainly they have the British have the right to narrow their economic future by getting out of the EU. I don't agree with the decision. And I think time is making it clear that the economy of Britain will shrink, not grow with that decision. What they didn't have the right to do is not consider how the Good Friday Agreement would be impacted by that, prepare for it. They now, I think, understand that, and I think the Windsor Agreement is probably a pretty good way forward. Now they need to get the parties back at the table and in Stormont.
In a personal aspect, you mentioned how you love coming to Belfast. In your life's work, a work of service, what's it feel like? Like you did it. Something that almost seems intractable, that we now look back with hindsight and think, yeah, it was going to happen.
This 25th anniversary makes myself ask those questions. And at the time, I was in my early 30s. I didn't know what was going to happen. You just did it. And you didn't have time to reflect. When they got I left the White House in 97 and went up to the UN, so I wasn't as directly involved. And when they got the deal, I was really proud of President Clinton's engagement and the U.S. engagement. It's what we'd hoped for. Looking back 25 years later on everything that has happened since, it was extraordinary that it worked. It was extraordinary that the president got involved, and it's, of all my career achievements, of which I'm very proud, this is the one that I'm proudest of because it's saved hundreds of lives. And that's why, would her parents have been killed in this war? She doesn't know, I don't know, but some of them would have been. And that's a really powerful thing to have been part of.
Last question. Do you remember exactly where you were, where you heard the agreement, and what was that? Can you remember that specific
When
moment?
I heard about the Good Friday Agreement?
Yeah. April 10th, 98. Were you in New York?
Yes, I was living in New York. That would have been Easter, so I don't remember where I was on that Easter, honestly. I don't remember where I was, but I remember watching it, thinking they're not going to get it, it's going to fall apart, and then waking up and realizing, wow, they got it. So I don't remember exactly where I was, but I remember the moment very clearly that it happened, and thinking that George Mitchell had just pulled off a miracle. And it took so long. I mean, it just went on for years. And they just so obstinate. And I honestly don't think anyone other than George Mitchell could have accomplished it in that time frame. Maybe, 5-10 years later he would have thought it, but his elegant patience and respect for everyone, really nobody could say no to meeting with him, talking to him, and they trusted him. And that's what made it possible.
I don't want to ask you one question. I was going to ask about soft power, American soft power.
You can ask. That's a good
I teach history at a university, and the cynicism that I run into, and that America's this evil thing around the United States, or around the world. And I go, America plays a very, very vital role. And one of the last, I would say, crowning achievements of soft power in the last 25 years, 30 years, is the Good Friday Agreement. Where are we today in terms of soft power and America's role in...
I think we've undermined America's soft power by some of the things that we've done in the last 10, 15 years. But you can get it back very quickly. The United States is still the lone superpower in the world. What we're doing in Ukraine today, I think, is rebuilding our credibility. Soft power is incredibly powerful. Sometimes it doesn't work. In Bosnia, I'm now living in Kosovo a large part of the time, like the National Democratic Institute. It was only the marriage of force and diplomacy that got Milosevic to sign the deal in Bosnia and created Kosovo. Walking around Kosovo today, it's the most pro-American place on earth. They're so grateful for what we did. Not the majority population, the 98% that were saved, the 2% that are more aligned with Serbia, not so much, but they respect it. And walking around Kosovo, walking around Belfast, you realize that America can make a huge difference in the world. Not just soft power, sometimes you have to use power. But when we do the right thing and stand up for the little guy, they never forget it.